That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the wave broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him."
What's God been saying to you through it?
It is the last one, the wind, the nature itself obeys him. So forget about the circumstances, situation, but the nature that he created is in absolute under his control.
Yeah. And it's like, because he's talking to the wind and the waves. Wind and waves can't hear. They have no ears.
No, they don't.
But he can talk to them.
Yes, absolutely.
This is so for today, isn't it? Because we got a virus.
Yes.
And it's out there and it doesn't know any boundaries.
No.
And yet we're desperate to talk to this virus. We're desperate to find ways into it and to control it and to, to handle our own destiny. And we can't.
No.
But he can talk to everything.
Yes.
Because he's the creator.
He is, absolutely.
Go from the beginning. What? So it's his idea, isn't it?
It was his. So
Yeah.
he said, "Let us go over to the other side." And when I look at it, he didn't say, "Let us go in the lake."
No.
He said, "Let us go to the other side."
Yeah.
So that means the journey has started, but hasn't finished yet.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And then when this squall came up, so they're in the middle of the journey.
Yeah.
And the squall came up, and they were like, all of a sudden, like, "Don't you care?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And you're just sleeping. Don't you care? We drown."
It's how you get from the start to that bit, isn't it? Where they start saying, "Don't you care?" Because obviously at the beginning, this is Jesus's idea. They're Jesus's disciples.
Mm-hmm.
You notice they leave the crowd behind. I noticed that.
Yes.
So it's Jesus now is in the hands of the boatmen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everyone else is on the shore.
Mm-hmm.
But don't worry, Jesus is in good hands.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're fishermen.
Yeah. This is their special subject.
I know.
So they're out there in the middle. And I love the thing that Jesus is sleeping.
Yeah. I think he's rest assured. He said, "You know what? I have chosen the perfect disciples. I'm going in the lake, and they're fishermen. They know what to do. So have some rest."
I think about it. I think, do you ever think Jesus must be the most irritating person to know? Yeah? Do you think?
Enlighten me on that.
They're on the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
And it's clearly a life-threatening situation. The guy's asleep.
Yeah, and he's sleeping.
Wouldn't you absolutely, come on. Because what you want when you're panicking like this,
Yes.
you want someone to panic with you. Emotionally,
Yes.
you want someone to panic with you.
True.
What you need is someone who's not panicked. Well, Jesus isn't panicked, he's asleep.
Yes, he's asleep.
Why is he sleeping?
I think because he knows what he's doing. He knows what his plan, and he has already, he knows about everything it is.
And he's got, hasn't he? He's left one crowd behind. As soon as they land, there'll be another crowd.
Yes.
He better get some sleep. The only time he's going to get some sleep is in this boat, where, as you quite rightly say, he's the carpenter, they're the boatmen.
Yes.
Their job, right, okay, time for a little bit of zuzz. And off he goes.
Yes.
But as far as they're concerned, it's not, like you say, it's like, don't you care? It's funny, isn't it? Even when we're panicking, we're still proud.
Yes. Yeah.
Even in the middle of fear, when I'm gripped by fear, I don't want to admit that I'm wrong to be afraid.
No, yeah, no.
What I want is to have people come alongside me and be afraid with me, and which confirms me that I am right to be afraid. It doesn't help me, but it confirms.
Yes.
That's just pride, isn't it?
Yes, it is. In a
So
way, yes.
they end up saying to Jesus, don't you care?
Yeah, don't you care?
I mean, wow. Thing to say to Jesus.
In their own home place, in their own Galilee, where they often go, you know, because Galilee is in particular is subject to those storms because of its in a low-lying position in Jordan Rift Valley, surrounded by hills. So they must get this sudden violence every often.
Yeah.
But still, that fear, I think.
Yeah. It does strange things to you.
Yes.
And this is a time when, in our country, people are basically afraid.
Yes, the fear.
And they want people to be afraid with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if God's not afraid with them, then God doesn't care.
Yes.
So you end up in your pride, you get alienated from God even more.
Mm-hmm.
They forget, don't they? He's in the boat with them.
That's what it is.
It's a strange thing to say. Don't you care if we drown? Well, they could equally say, don't you care if you drown?
You drown, yeah.
And in a way that shows where their mind is going. I think it shows. I don't know how you hear that question.
Mm-hmm.
When they say, don't you care if we drown, do they mean we, all of us and you? Or I think that maybe in their fear, they've started to say, it's us and him. Don't you care if we drown?
Yeah, I think if I think it in a way, because when fear strikes you or anything happen, I think all of a sudden, first thing is you always think about yourself first.
Yeah. Every man for himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. And then you will think about other. But yeah, as a whole, you can say yes. They were like, don't you think we're all going to drown? Yeah. Or don't you think we're going to drown because you are the one who can do the miracle. Maybe you will survive and leave us alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he gets up and he rebukes the wind and the waves.
Yes.
But it's not just that he speaks some magic words. He rebukes them. He tells them off.
Yes. Quiet and be still.
Now, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know if maybe you're just totally different. I'm going to compare notes with you now on this one.
No.
All right. So if you're out walking, yeah, and it starts absolutely pouring down with rain, do you, no, be honest, it's just the two of us in the room.
Okay.
Do you take it personally? Because now, come on, just tell us. No one's listening.
Yeah, I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah, yes. So do I. I totally do. It's like I totally get really, really mad with the wind and the rain.
Yes.
Coming down my neck, and I'm on the bike or something like that. Because it's like it's a personal thing. It's not a logical reaction.
No.
I'm trying to get somewhere, and you're not helping me. You know? Yeah. Well, this is not fair.
What have you got against me?
What have I done?
Yeah.
So, we're not entitled to that kind of feeling, but we do feel it, don't we?
We do.
But he is entitled to rebuke the wind and the waves because he's the creator.
And he got that authority.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. So
if, what happens in creation? Well, first of all, water is coming and chaos is over the face of the waters. And it's him at the beginning of it all who says, right, there's going to be order here and this is what's going to happen. And you do this and you do that and then you do the other. So he's only doing here what he's already done.
Yes.
Come on, get in your place.
Yeah, putting them in right order. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
It's like in Job where it says, here is where your proud waves halt. He said it once and he reminds Job of that. Well, he just does it again here. He just said, now come on. We said we'd have order and this is where you go and this is what you do. So he's entitled to take it personally and to rebuke.
Of course.
Whereas, of course, we can't. But the fact that he speaks to wind and to waves, and with immediate effect.
Yes. The wind died down and it was completely calm.
Well, yeah, it shouldn't surprise us, should it? I mean, how on earth do we think we ended up in this world? He spoke.
Of course.
So there isn't a molecule, there isn't a single piece of dust that can actually answer back to him when he speaks. Because from the beginning, that's how we come to be here.
Yes. And then these disciples, they have also, because these are disciples, so they go where Jesus is going, and they have seen Jesus healing with his touch, with his word, leper, the sickness, the disease, casting out demon, and everything's happening with the word.
Yes.
So he speaks and that happens.
And I don't think they fully understand yet why. It's because this is the creator. He is speaking to his creation. And there may be, loose demons around it. They're still created. They've still got to come to order.
Yes.
There may be diseased people around. Well, this is still creation.
Yeah, of course.
And germs and things have to respond to him. The scary thing for people right now is that, there's no way of talking to this virus. We use language that tries to comfort ourselves, don't we? Even language like the people on the front line. I think I want to remind myself, Duncan, excuse me just a second. Viruses don't recognize front lines. There are no lines that viruses recognize. They'll go where they want, or they think they will. So we're always searching, though, for ways to control, and people want the magic bullet. They want to be able to say, right, that's it. That's that virus dealt with.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can't find it at the moment makes us genuinely afraid, doesn't it?
It does.
So that as a civilized world, there we are, just kind of, wow, we can't control this thing.
I know. And then, during this rough time or anything, like the virus, this thing, the first thing was like, okay, where are the doctors? Where are the scientists? So that I think that I and me within us, somehow it wakes up and like, let us sort things out.
Yeah.
The God, can you just step aside? We'll come in prayer a bit later on. Yeah. Let us sort this out. So I think that's how our relationships get undermined and things get out of control,
Yeah, because we like to be in control.
Yeah, yeah.
We like establishing order.
Yes.
On the world, ourselves, our own order.
Yes.
So that kind of explains to me the bit at the end where Jesus says to his disciples, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? And it doesn't say they were overjoyed.
No.
They were terrified.
They were.
Now, why are they terrified? Because of what they've just seen. I mean, these are repentant, believing followers of Jesus. And yet they're still terrified. Out of what we're saying, there might be some people, and the disciples might be saying, well, look, if Jesus can just say, shut up to the wind and the waves, why doesn't he just do it straight away? Why does he make us go through this? And similarly, I can imagine people will be saying about the virus. I would say again, I think there is not a cell or a molecule in this world that can stand up to the voice of the Creator and say, nope, I'm going my own way. Because he created it, he knows it, he has authority over those things. But people like us cannot complain. Because, I think we pray two separate prayers that are completely opposed to each other. We pray at one and the same time, God, control that. And we pray, God, don't control me.
True.
Yeah?
Yeah. You don't
so
control
on the one hand, we're saying,
something.
God, establish your order over creation.
Yes.
And on the other hand, we're saying, God, don't establish your order over creation.
Yes.
Because it's the whole thing, isn't it?
It is.
If he's going to establish order, it has to be over everything.
Over everything, true.
And here he is, the wind and the waves are in the way. Right. The rebuke, the wind and the waves.
Mm-hmm.
But what we tend to say to God is, look, can you sort out the wind and the waves and leave me to sort myself out? Can you sort out, do you know what? What do you think would happen if Boris Johnson, Richard Dawkins, kind of celebrity atheist, Stephen Fry, another celebrity atheist or whatever, if they were confronted with just, I don't know how this would happen,
Mm-hmm.
but listen, if one word from God and he can sort this virus out,
Mm-hmm.
do you think they'd have it? Do you think they'd have that? Or do you think they'd say, like Pharaoh says to Moses with the Egyptians, you know, I just want this plague dealt with.
Yes.
I still want to be in control over Egypt.
Yes, that's what.
It's going to happen, isn't it? It
Yes,
will be, yeah,
that's
fine. If he can sort it out, let him sort it out. Come on.
Yeah.
Whereas in fact, what they're saying is, God, take charge and put my ideas of order
Yes.
into action.
Yeah. So you work, but the battle will be ours.
Yeah. I want to use your voice, God, to establish my order on things.
My order, yes.
So here we are. We're a civilization that believes we can put our order on things
Mm-hmm.
in all sorts of ways. Your children go to school. How many genders are they taught that there are in the world?
A lot. They get confused nowadays, yeah.
It's much more than men and women, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we think we can establish our order on gender,
Mm-hmm. Relationship.
sexuality.
Yes.
What did you just say?
Relationship.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Any form of relationship.
Any form, yes.
We think we can establish our order over our own bodies via chemicals and whatever. Yeah. You know, mind-enhancing substances.
Yes.
Yeah, so-called enhancing. We're full of this, aren't we? All sorts of ways via technology and everything that we can establish our order on creation.
Mm-hmm.
And our order on creation is often about greed.
Yes.
How can I make sure this planet gives me what I want?
Mm. And how can you always about myself?
It's always about me. How can I rule the planet from a perspective of 11 Alma Street?
Yes.
All right, 90 Cowper Road can have some of it, but
Yes.
11 Alma Street, you know? So having done that, I really don't get what Jesus is doing here. Because what Jesus is doing here is he is speaking as the creator to his creation, and his creation has to respond. Now, if I do get it, I'm going to be like the disciples, absolutely terrified.
They're like,
Yeah. Because I'm part of his creation.
Yes.
I have to respond. And I have to respond now. So the last thing in some ways that we want to hear is the voice of the creator.
True.
Because that's the end of playtime. Our game is over.
Yes.
What conclusions do you draw from this?
Well, again, like even the waves and the winds obey him. So no matter whatever we think we are or we can do, you know, every often I think when we are too much of ourselves, and then we started representing the false God, then I think God will start speaking, saying, hang on a minute, I will show you who true God is.
Yeah.
So now at the situation with like, you know, we are so proud, we are in 21st century, we can do anything, people are in moon and we soon will they be in Mars kind of things. So they're like, the world is in our hand.
Yeah.
So there is no God. That's a Big Bang theory. But then God says, no, I'll show you.
Mm.
And now this, just a virus,
Mm.
it's not any big thing. It's just a virus. And
Yeah.
see our condition now. We are like, oh, we can't do anything.
We're playing a game in a way that has cost the planet so much. It's cost so many lives, whereby we've set ourselves up as God and said, no, we will establish our order and superimpose it upon yours. Thank you for all the way. In a small way, in the British Isles, we've done the same thing. We've come from a broad basis on being Christian as a nation.
Yeah.
And now we're saying, thank you for that tradition. Thank you for that heritage. What we'll do now is we will superimpose our order on yours. Oh God, that we do not acknowledge. And so that's what we've set out to do. But to meet up face to face, as the disciples do here, with the Creator telling his creation, get back in place.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
It's a terrifying thing, because suddenly we realize this is not a game, and we've been trying to play it as a game, and here we are in the presence of the Creator. So my feeling on this is it's a challenge to me. I'm part of the creation. It's not my role to be telling him what order is. He establishes his order.
Yes.
And I have to fit in with that.
But again,
who is this? Sorry,
yes.
Go on.
No, absolutely. I was going to the same line. Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. So I think at the end, they somehow knew who he is. And then, and that what is happening now as well, like somehow, if we see there are so many people turning back to God, because now they know that what things seems impossible is possible in his hand. So we know now who Jesus is. He is the Lord. He is the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. He is the one supreme high. There's no one. So yes, we learned it in a hard way, lockdown. But I think these disciples also, they are better off now. Even though they learn in a hard way, they are better off now, because I know now they knew, like not only the evil spirit or the demons or the sickness, but the nature itself obey him. So
why don't we?
Why don't we? Absolutely, yes. So I think their faith is being restored somehow. And God is restoring our faith as well.
Yes. And I think that's the way, isn't it? It's how he's restoring it. So in other words, here we are in the midst of this lockdown, and you and I are preaching in two separate houses. And yet we can hear this as a call to faith for us. They wanted him to speak to the wind and the waves.
Yes.
They didn't know that was what they wanted, but great, it happens. And he speaks as the Creator to the creation, and the creation has to respond, because it had to respond at the beginning and it still has to respond now. That's how we come to exist.
True.
You and I are human beings because his voice calls to the dust and says, take this order for me, would you? And it does. So the idea that there could be anything that stands up to his voice, no, it doesn't happen. But I think the challenge to us is to say, okay, you want me to speak to this virus. I'm going to speak to you first.
Yes.
Do you believe that I am the Creator with authority over my creation? Well, you're part of my creation. Do you believe in that authority?